And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Big edition of TigerBait. Of course, I say that every week. Every week is a big edition of TigerBait Live. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Obviously, Lane Kiffin and his LSU staff doing a lot of work in the portal. A lot of LSU fans out there hand-wringing. Where are the offensive linemen? Where's the quarterback? Maybe not liking some of the production of the running backs that have been signed, on and on. Give it some time. I think you need to stand put. I think the dam is about to break on offensive linemen. I'll be shocked if there's not 3 or 4 in the fold by the beginning of next week. And it's going to be a very eventful next week or two because it's I think one thing's obvious, buddy. Welcome in.
Good to see you, Mike.
Of the big budget they have to spend, I think they've been spending it wisely. I think they've been frugal to this point. Of course, we're going to talk a lot about the quarterback situation, but I think they've done a darn good job. They've made a lot of room where I think it mattered. You can probably make the case that there's some players on the roster right now that are carried over that you could still say that probably why aren't they in the portal yet? But you can see where, what are we going to be looking at, buddy? Over half will be new, right at half. More than half of the roster will be new.
Happy New Year, everybody. Our first show for 2026. Hope that you brought it in the right way. I am a traditionalist. I do believe in the black eyed peas, the cornbread, and the cabbage. Many of you may
I didn't do
not.
any of it.
You didn't get any of it. Well, I hope that way you're wealthy and you got a beautiful new wife and a beautiful home. And, of course, it is a beautiful year because, folks, this is something that we have never seen before. And probably will never see again. We just go back real quickly, November 30th. Lane Kiffin signs to be the coach at LSU. And he, of course, is the head coach at Ole Miss. And they are at 11-1 and having an incredible year. And but we talked about it. You needed to get him because of the continuity with the signing, and they ended up with 14 and really good players. But as I get back to now with today, and you and I talked about it, this is messy. But guess what? This is what this state of Louisiana is all about. People around the world think we have no shoes. People around the world think about this about Louisiana. Embrace the underdog. Embrace the hate. It's coming from everywhere. And listen, if they weren't worried, they wouldn't be hating. So my tonight message is that chill out. Aaron Rodgers told the Green Bay Packers fan base about 5 years ago, RELAX. Is this man making $13 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a $13 million a year coach is not going to have a quarterback or 2 or 3 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 offensive linemen? Let him do his job. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be controversial. You still have this overhang.
Well, nothing's easy. And we talked about that on your show today.
Nothing's ever easy.
It's like everything has a cloud. Well, look, it makes it look like I'm being negative on Lane Kiffin. I'm not. It's just like, okay, Damon Williams is your guy now. Well, they're going to sue him, and he's going to have to get a lawyer, and they're going to hold him to it. And it's like nothing is easy and clean, right?
Because of the landscape in the world we live in.
Yeah.
Listen, quarterbacks are making 4 or 5, 6 million. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. The Georgia quarterback leaves, Carson Beck, and they give him $4.2 million, and it paid off. Miami's playing Ole Miss tomorrow night at the Fiesta Bowl. So there's some gamble. A lot of people thought that Sam was going to go down last night. I will say this, if we could give any words of wisdom. It's one thing for a basketball coach, whether it be men's or women's, or a baseball coach like Jay Johnson or whatever, to use Tiger Stadium as a recruiting tool. If I'm Verge Rosberry, I would tell all the coaches,
do not go to a men's basketball
Don't
game.
Bring anybody in on a men's basketball game because it's like going to a funeral parlor.
I asked John Brady if it was true. Remember this? Because I was told back in the day that because Saban would love to bring players because he'd always have a load of official visits in December. He'd love to bring them to basketball games. And Skip Bertman's, no, I asked Skip Bertman this question. He verified it. Bertman's on the other side of the desk. He's the AD. And Saban rips into Brady for how bad his December schedule was because he wants to bring recruits and he didn't want to see him play poo-poo state. Yeah. Zach Nagy says Mike's a little too chipper for my liking today.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say to open up is that take a deep breath, please. I've got 25, 30, 40-year-old, but the 50, 60, 70, 80 group, chill out. Catastrophe syndrome is alive and well. You have to trust the lane train. He's not normal. He's different. He's offset.
And by the way, what are you going to do if you're an LSU fan if whatever network that you believe their rankings the most says LSU's transfer portal class is not in the top 5 or not in the top 8? Does it really matter? Because this team that's playing for Ole Miss in the semifinals tomorrow night, half their starters were signed last year, and that Ole Miss class was not ranked high. It was the one the year before.
Exactly. And LSU's portal class last year was ranked number 1.
And that guy's fired.
And there was only about 6 that ended up being big-time players. Right. And so relax, take a deep breath.
Trust Kiffin and Billy Glasscock and that whole team to do the evaluation.
By the way, did you hear Billy Glasscock just signed this afternoon, 3 years, $1 million a year. He's making $450 at Ole Miss.
Wow. So that's like 200 more than Austin Thomas.
Austin Thomas, I think, was.
And I thought Austin Thomas's numbers were crazy.
So Billy Glasscock is now probably the highest paid GM or one of the highest paid GMs. You got him, but take a deep breath. LSU has the money. If they didn't have the money, by the way, I did not realize this. Mark Cuban, of course, former Dallas Mavericks owner and Shark Tank and all the things he's known for. He's the money man on Indiana. He's an Indiana grad. He's giving them all their football NIL money. So, but relax. All right. You're going to get there. And take a deep breath. It's going to be okay.
By the way, I mentioned Billy Glasscock. You know what you notice about him? I might have mentioned this on a previous show. There's no X feed for him. Go type his name into YouTube and see if you can find an old interview that he's done somewhere. He didn't do one at Texas, didn't do one at Oxford. Doesn't look for the limelight. He's not all over Twitter being snarky. He does his work. And the proof's in the pudding because Ole Miss playing tomorrow night.
Let's have some fun, folks.
I can't
chill out. There's no reason to be freaking out.
I'm usually the guy that's the one freaking out about how they don't have this and they don't have that. And for whatever reason, I'm just saying let it play out.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in. Brian Pentwins with super chat. In a beautiful good evening, Mike from Southeast Utah, about to enter Colorado. Do you think it's time to start the conversation about firing McMahon? I said it on Buddy's show today. I said, you know what? There's probably 2 or 3 coaches that coach this LSU men's program this century that if it was this bad, I probably would have put up a hot board this afternoon for a coaching search. Mainly because I just didn't like them. I thought they were a-holes. You know who I'm talking about. But not Matt McMahon. I like the guy. But I think I had 2 people that were at the game last night say that last night's basketball game was the equivalent of the A&M game in football.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And I think that's an accurate depiction or comparison. We put up his post-game video, post-game press conference. I don't even think it's got 300 views. Nobody cares.
The only different caveat.
The apathy is the worst I've ever seen.
But the only difference is that now Virgil Osbury is the AD, and he has to big picture money-wise. And so I don't know if anybody's talked to Virgil about that. He's been all his claws deep into this football hire and everything there. But we shall see. This was not a hurry. But I ask this question all the time. Where does LSU men's basketball fit in the priority at LSU athletics? And I must say, it's 4th or 5th at least.
And that's a shame.
Yeah. So
especially myself, grew up in the PMAC. I grew up in the PMAC more than I did Tiger Stadium.
Oh, yeah. You went
My
to
family had season tickets. I was there for Kyle Macy hitting the shot. I was there for all of that. And where it was a line wrapped around the building 24 hours before for a Kentucky game, and absolute sellout. And it was, you know it. In the early to mid 80s, it was a harder ticket than football.
Oh, look,
it wasn't even close.
And remember we would film some of the stuff and the decibels and all of that. It was a great time. But
Tiger coming down up from the ceiling.
But that's history right
12-year-old Mike ate that up like it was everything. All right, let's go. Brian, thank you so much for that super. Chance Babb and the national media is so negative towards Lane. I think LSU may lose a few battles against Ole Miss, but we will win the war, much like Saban did against us. Look, they lose tomorrow night, and then all the fanfare will start to fall in place. Just hold your horses.
Well, that's one of the things I said, though, in the opening, Mike. You, as an LSU fan, if you are active on social media or interact with all your buddies, they are tinkling on your Cheerios every morning. You know me, I don't deal with it.
By the way,
it's irrelevant.
I didn't hate Ole Miss, but the daily grind of these people every day in our Twitter feeds and our Facebook page especially is loaded with Ole Miss folks right now.
But I give you credit. I do give you credit. Mike said they would beat Georgia. Kirby, I got to call you your old name. Kirby, I'm not so smart. Had a brain fart. Went for it, Mike. 4th and 2 on the 33-yard line. They had already completed a fake punt on 4th down. And then after the game, now the center was not supposed to snap the ball, but he had a brain fart and then had to try and justify by saying analytics told him to go for it. That's bullshit. There's no analytics in the country, and if he is, he needs to have his ass kicked. If you're going to tell the coach of a defensive team like Kirby Smart on 4th and 2 at your 33, you should go for it. I don't believe all that stuff. You know who else used to use that excuse? BK, analytics.
Drew 7099, Stroube was the biggest priority at first, then Levitt was his biggest priority. Let me tell you something about Levitt, and I don't know this to be the case, but I got a real suspicion because I know that Lane Kiffin and those guys are running this thing like an NFL team. I'd like to know how many doctors and so forth looked at him yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. It's probably not going to be around, most likely not going to be around for spring, probably not coming back until, May? It is a little bit of the rolling of the dice, but he's a hell of a player.
When you tell me he's an unhealthy quarterback and you can't absolutely guarantee when he's going to be ready to go, and you got Damon Williams out there, and when you watch his film, and you are as familiar as we are with Lane Kiffin's offense, and then you know that Patrick Pops Payton is right behind him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar size, similar quarterback. It makes sense.
Look at all the wide receivers. They brought in 10 players so far in the portal. 4 of them were wide receivers. Don't forget they signed 3. Jabari Mack was early, and then the last side, remember, Barber and the other kid. So you're going to have a whole flock of different wide receivers. And you know, Mike, that he's going to get not one, but he's going to get 2 or 3 quarterbacks. Elon quarterback comes in here. Also, the former quarterback at Ferris State making a visit in the next couple of days. They're going to bring some bodies in here.
Let's also hold your horses on, boy, all the Ole Miss guys sure are staying. Let's see what happens if Miami takes care of business tomorrow night, how that actually plays out within a week. All right, let's hear from Mike and Alex over at Pride.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection, and on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There it is. Give them a call, say TigerBait, and with your free roof inspection, you're going to get TigerBait Premium free for a year. They foot the bill for that. That's a $99 value. And again, they've got you covered for commercial or residential roofs anywhere in Southeast Louisiana. Home base in Hammond, locally owned and operated. Of course, Mike Faraday, I tell y'all every week, I've been knowing him my entire life, one of my best friends, and just super, super people to deal with. Brand new location here in Baton Rouge, Thibodaux, Homa, New Orleans, Madisonville, Mandeville, Covington, Slidell. They've got you covered anywhere in the Baton Rouge area in South Louisiana. And you give them an opposing company's bid on letterhead, and they will beat it by $150. No questions asked. And I tell you what else, and I've seen it firsthand recently. We had to put a new roof on the house that we were selling. And not only did they beat it by $2,500, it was a grade of shingle that was 2 levels higher. And that's one of the more notable things. A lot of these roofs, even in the fancier neighborhoods in Baton Rouge, they're putting builder grade shingles on, and they don't do that at Pride Roofing. They're going to give you a quality product.
Don't forget about, of course, all of the products that we have. The inventory, metal roofs continue to be hot. We will do whatever you want, folks. We'll get there early. Going to take care of you. 1-855-PRIDE-16. And not only good people. Last year I said that, Blake Baker was going to bring the pride back in the defense. Well, guess what, folks? You're going to have the pride of the offense. I don't know what kind of numbers, but it's going to be comparable to 19 with Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels' Heisman year. The pride is coming back on that LSU offense. Mike and Alex, incredible people. All we ask is an opportunity. 1-855-PRIDE-16. Tell them Mike and Buddy sent you over.
Well, that segue, that looks like you're about ready to go 10-2.
I'm not making any predictions until we have a roster. By the way, I wanted to bring this up. Are we going to have a presser with a press conference with Lane Kiffin after this portal, or do you have any idea?
We are. So we are.
Okay.
Preston breaking in with some news. He says LSU has announced the signing of former Florida long snapper Mac Mulhern. He and punter Hayden Craig followed new special teams coordinator Joe Houston over to LSU. All right, Preston, appreciate you giving us that.
Silas Hall was a kid from Episcopal. He came over here, ended up being a deep snapper. I think he got in the portal. Aaron Burrell got in the portal. Look, you got a new special teams coach. It only makes sense. He's going to bring in some guys. And Evan Knoll, any of you that keep up with Gaston, I don't know how he says the name on the internet. His son is Evan Knoll. We'll see if he follows over. But look, Chadwick had a hell of a year at punter, and Burrell just did kickoffs. We'll see. Special teams have got to get appreciably better, even though they had their moments this last year.
Yeah. Ricky Tucker, the top offensive tackles in the portals are starting to commit. Do you know if there are current? I'll say this, Ricky. There are some top tackles out there that their names aren't in the portal yet. Be on the lookout.
I will say this. I'll jump out here and say this. Okay, can I jump out there in the lake? LSU's offensive line is going to be appreciably better than what they performed like this year. That was brutal.
Raymond 1275. Hey, Mike and Buddy, how concerned are you with women's basketball after 2 straight losses? I think it is very concerning. Go on the road to Georgia now. They got to have that game. And then Texas on Sunday in the PMAC. I expect that to be a packed house. They could really use an upset there. But man, I've had deja vu. I feel like after November, December, I thought that this was her best team from top to bottom. Felt it was absolutely a Final Four national championship caliber team. And everybody wants to say, well, this is what happens when you don't play anybody. Kim never plays anybody in November or December.
But do her teams, get better? Her teams always get better.
Yeah.
What you saw the first 2 games of the SEC is not what you're going to see. They're going to get better. They're playing too darn individual. They're too much dribbling. They had
Flage's ankle and not being a big part of things right now.
They will be fine. Kim Mulkey, Bob Starkey, Simona, all those guys, girls, everybody involved. They will be better, but they did get busted up. And one thing about Coach Mulkey, I was at Brubacher's today, and I ran into a woman who played against Kim Mulkey, and she said, that's the best white girl I ever played against, ever. She was at U High and played against Kim. Kim is tough as nails. That team will be good, but right now they're playing too much individual. Pass the basketball. Got to block out a little bit better. Got to have.
You still have Ron Higgins on your show every week?
I do. Every other week.
Ron Higgins was telling me about a drill that she runs for bigs, where they don't call fouls, and it's a rebounding drill, and it's basically anything goes.
That's how you toughen up people.
Yeah, like elbows.
Yeah.
Thumbs in the eyeballs. No, I made that part up.
But they do need you on Sunday now because Texas ladies are undefeated. Dr. John Sibley Butler, as always, a shout out to him. He's a big supporter of the fan, our shows, and I don't know if he's coming, but hang in there. Once again, you don't overreact. But I will say this, Mike, as long as they host the first 2 games in the NCAA in the Pete Maverick Assembly Center, then you still have a chance to achieve your goals.
Case in Acock, Mike, buddy, if Kern is the number 1 rated offensive line transfer in the portal, what does that say? He's not the number 1 guy. Look, he's got ability, but there's a lot of stuff up here that he's got to get right. And I think he's also got to get right off the field.
Yeah, Curious Kern, you see the physical part and you go like, man, this guy's going to be a stud. He was the guy that remember he came in at 335 and he lost 15 pounds to 320. But we saw it at practice. Remember he kept jumping offside. Remember he kept and look, he didn't bend that knee. He didn't get down, and so people were coming around him. You either get beat or you hold, and so whoever
he was absolutely playing out of position.
Yeah, he's an interior player, but whoever put him as the number 1 offensive tackle didn't do their homework. That's on potential, not production.
I'll say this as a guard, if there was no off the field stuff and he was going to class and doing everything right, and I might not have a hard time saying he was the number 1 offensive guard out there.
But I mean, they list him as a tackle,
particularly with all the eligibility he's got left.
By the way, Solomon Thomas, I talked to this kid on the practice field right after he got hurt, and we were walking around. That's when we had all that excess, and he was limping around on the scooter. I said, man, you need to get well. They need you this year. And he said, I know, but you keep telling me it looks good. I hope they can retain him. He's got big potential. That's the 5-star that came over and follows Alex Atkins, who is no longer here.
Dane Bergeron on a super chat, buddy. I saw a blast from the past on Twitter. There was a nice tribute to former LSU quarterback Mike Miley. Mike was one of the best athletes ever at LSU.
I'm glad, Dane, you mentioned that because I just saw this before we did the show. Billy Truax passed away. Billy Truax was a tight end, goes even further back than Mike Miley. But Chris Truax, we want to give everybody that knows Chris and the Truax family, super classy man. I met Billy years ago at one of these games in Dallas. I had him on the show. Class act, purple and gold through and through. Billy, may you rest in peace, and Chris and the family.
Let's try and keep this to where the people we're talking about, their film was in color.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm just saying he was a class guy, and so was Mike Miley.
It's like Lynn Rollins. I used to always do a show at Lynn Rollins in Alexandria on Monday nights, and I'd always tease him, and I'd say, "What was it like watching some of those Harry Ravenhorse teams back in the day, Lynn?" Back when the basketball team wore little short shorts with belts.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The ones you see in the ramp or the ring around the Assembly Center at the in the concourse, those old pictures.
But those are 2 great ones, one tight end and one quarterback.
Yep.
Man, could you imagine Mike Miley? I don't know if you remember him, but very talented dual threat quarterback. He would flourish in Lane Kiffin's offense.
John Sibley Butler says, Dr. John Sibley Butler says LSU women's basketball will be fine. Had 2 games where the final 2 minutes didn't go their way. I would expect nothing but positivity from Dr. Butler, but there is some problems. They got to get it fixed.
Well, yeah, they do.
I'll tell you what else I want to see. I want to see Michaela Williams with a knockout, like a killer instinct. I would like to see that from her.
Well, look, Flaugier was scoreless. I think I had Chessa on today or yesterday, whatever, and she said that's only the second time she's been held scoreless. They're going to be fine. They got to pass the basketball. They got to play tougher. But listen, let's throw the other thing in there, 22 turnovers. You're not going to be quality SEC teams turning it over 22 times.
No.
Just not.
No. Let's see what we got in here. 256 Moxley. Curious to see how much dead money we end up with in the end. Not all these kids worth their asking price, but that's the fear. Players absolutely have you over a barrel. You would like to think at a school like LSU that you can be picky at times, but as the days go by, certainly coaches start to get nervous. Maybe the head coach doesn't get nervous, but the position coach is get nervous because he knows how many guys he wants in his room. He has a pretty good sense of through his evaluations with the personnel guys who can play and who can't. He knows which ones he can count on and which ones are just bodies. How much do you end up paying for just bodies at the end because you need numbers?
Well, look, this is the change in college football. Austin Thomas and Brian Kelly had a number for Tyree Adams and Cohen Eccles. Adams started at left tackle when he was healthy. Cohen Eccles started at left guard in the bowl game and played. Those guys got in the portal. Now, what were they making at LSU? Well, guess what? They signed with A&M. Those two guys, Cohen Eccles and Tyree Adams, will be back in Tiger Stadium, but they'll be wearing the maroon and white instead of the purple and gold. My point is that is the thing I think that the casual person, whether media fan, mom and daddy, how do you have this big, big budget? And you've got a better idea what the total money is going to be with revenue sharing, NIL, collectives, and then the personal contacts. It's a lot of money, but how do you determine what player A is worth versus his quarterback? That's the whole thing about Damon Williams. He found out Sarsby got $5 million. He did a deal with Washington for $4. Said, hell, if he got $5, I could probably get $5 to $6. Oregon, LSU, and other teams. And so you feel like he's going to leave. He did have a do not contact tag.
When we find out this afternoon that Washington is now bringing in quarterbacks, they know it's over.
Yeah.
And by the way, how much was it really over when they slept on it last night? Do you really want a kid on your team that you legally had to force to play for you, right? He doesn't want to be there. He wants to get in the portal. You don't let him. You sue him or whatever. Look, all this stuff's going to fall apart. The kid's going to end up. We're waiting any minute now. But it's like, is that what you really want? What kind of player are you going to have under those circumstances? And they knew that this morning. They knew that.
But it's happening more and more, Mike, because of the money. And what I was trying to point I was making is that how do you know if a guy's worth $4 or $5 or $6 million a quarterback? How do you know what a wide receiver's worth? A running back?
And by the way, I feel for Washington.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I'd hate to live up there too, as crazy as left wing wacko people they are out there. They're a little off center, but Judge Fish is a very good coach, and a lot of people thought.
Yeah, go look at the parameters on how he left for that job.
Yeah,
right.
It's happened before. A kid from Wisconsin.
Coaches can leave in middle of contracts.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. But my point is that I don't know how Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock make this thing work. And I was mentioning Eccles and Adams because I think it's ironic. They were part of this offensive line, and after we saw him play, now Adams played appreciably better. I like Eccles' size, but whatever they were offered to LSU, they got something better at A&M. We'll see who's right on that evaluation.
All right, real quick, I want to get Brad DeVries in. I need to get a couple of spots in. He asked Mike, and I'm going to get Buddy to answer it as well. Who do you think will win the two playoff games? I think it's going to be Miami and Indiana.
Yeah, something tells me Oregon's going to be really tough, but man, Kirk Cignetti looks to me like a Nick Saban disciple. All four coaches that are left in the semifinals work with Nick Saban at Alabama. I'm with you. I got Miami 27-24, and I've got Indiana 27-24. Two really close games.
There's the Saban coaching tree and the coaches that have been highly successful. And then there's the other guys who are from the Saban coaching tree that maybe weren't successful, but I would like to know the total dollars in salary that Saban coaching tree guys have gotten over the years. I bet you that number's
if you count Jimbo, what he got?
About Muschamp and all of them.
No, but I'm saying
Jimbo, yeah,
Jimbo and that buyout, that's already 70-something million right there. But suffice to say, excited. 6:30.
Billy Napier is good money.
6:30 tomorrow night, 6:30 on Friday night for the two ball games.
Yep. All right, everybody. Y'all hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. Please, that helps us with the algorithm big time. And hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. If you haven't already, I look at the analytics each week, and I think about 53% of y'all that watch each week are still not subscribed. I think it's mainly because people still haven't registered for a YouTube account so you can subscribe. And then on Facebook, if you're watching us there, please hit the follow button on our Facebook as well. But all right, I need to talk about the great folks over at Stroube's. You see it on the screen. Look at that cowboy ribeye. Great seafood dishes as well. 107 3rd Street. Stroube's Seafood and Steaks. Of course, locally owned and operated. USDA Prime Black Angus Steaks. 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And if you're looking for something outside of red meat, they've got the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, duck Louisiana, and a lot more. Book your reservation online tonight at Stroube's.com. And while you're there, you can see the entire menu. And so you can make a reservation, see the menu. And again, like I tell you each time, get the lamb lollipops for an appetizer and the crawfish mac and cheese. And they've got in-house desserts that are absolutely off the chain that you need to order up and at least get it to go eat the next day. And I need to talk about the great people over at Alumni Hall. Baseball season's right around the corner. They've got all the youth jerseys in stock already, ready to go. All the polos. You know, I've been promoting quarter zips and hoodies for a while. It just seems like we got 1 or 2 weeks of cold weather, and it's been 80 degrees, and all my shorts and everything are out. But they've got it all for you. Everything that you need. The fine folks at Alumni Hall. And as always, use the code TigerBait, all one word, and you're going to get 10% off at the register, or if you order online at alumnihall.com/LSU. And you can mix and match 2 for $38 LSU champion brand t-shirts. Just everything you would want for a man cave, jerseys, NIL
Hats,
jerseys,
the whole 9 yards.
I mean, walls and walls and walls of caps.
Give yourself about 30 minutes. You're going to enjoy browsing through all of the stuff, like George Carlin used to say, and they do a fantastic job. Don't forget to mention TigerBait.
And by the way, a lot of their stuff you see in their online store, the photos there doesn't do the quality of the Peter Millar stuff, the Southern Tide, all that stuff that they have. It doesn't do it justice. You actually need to go feel it and try it on. Real lightweight stuff, but all the stuff that you really want when it gets hot here in Louisiana. Greg Myers, Mike and Buddy, hello from Nashville. Keep up the great job. Thank God football season is over. My blood pressure was starting to come down. It's starting to come down.
Is it still a little surreal for you, Mike, and our buddy in Nashville? Obviously, we had, after they beat Clemson, you had such expectations. I'm excited. I think that people get caught up with what other people around the country are saying about Lane Kiffin, LSU, and all of that. And, people got after me, but I'll ask you this question. Has anybody had more than, other than Alabama, has anybody had more than 3 national championships in that time frame where LSU's won 3? And lo and behold, the Big Ten is trying to win a 3rd consecutive.
How many does Ohio State have in the last?
Well, Ohio State, if you go back to the previous year, they've got 3 as well. But
right.
my question to you is, are you concerned a little bit? There's a lot of conjecture and talk now that the Big Ten, if they win again this year, that would be 3 consecutive years.
Good. As long as it's not an SEC school.
Yeah. Well,
I'm done.
I know you're anti.
I think a lot of LSU fans are like me in this regard. At least they have been on our Tiger Den message board, because we had this discussion over there last week. The whole SEC. Do you really want to see Kirby Smart win another one? I don't.
No.
You want to see Texas A&M win one? No, indeed.
Oh, man.
Don't you enjoy teasing them over the fact they haven't won shit? Ole Miss, you want them to win one? They hadn't won one since when?
1960.
Yeah, do you want to see that?
65 years ago.
Nobody wants to see that.
Oh, no.
No. I'd rather Indiana win it. And then I'd like Signetti to build it up over there and give Ohio State fits. Wouldn't you rather Indiana in that story than Michigan be the one? It doesn't matter to me.
By the way, having Mike Archer on the show tomorrow. Mike Archer played at the U with Miami many years ago, and he does a great job breaking down football for us. I will say this, man. Miami, we talked about Mario Cristobal when we had to talk about the coaching search before BK, but Mario Cristobal has one hell of a defensive line.
I like their
offensive line. And if Carson Beck can play decent, they win tomorrow night. Now, if Chambliss plays the way he did against Georgia, I don't know if Ole Miss can be beat.
I'm not going to call out their names, but there's one that does a podcast. There's someone who works for me, all teasing me back in 2022 when I was bringing up Mario Cristobal as a candidate. Not half the coach of Brian Kelly. Yeah. Dane Bergeron, Super Chat. LSU needs to change its colors to silver and black and take on the attitude of the old Oakland Raiders. No.
Come on, Dane Snake. Look, I don't know why he'd bring up the Raiders right now. Poor Pete Carroll, who gave Lane Kiffin some wisdom to take this job. They went 3-14 or whatever, and he got fired after 1 year. But look, I do like the MO for the Raiders. Just do it. But I think purple and gold is going to be interesting to see this year. I'm not ready to talk about the first year, but I think, as we know, the offense is going to be incredibly exciting to watch. If you get the quarterback that can deliver the football and you get some protection, this is going to be one hell of an offense. When you start talking about the receivers, Trey Green, Braylon Moore, all the guys they got coming back. Come on, Solomon Thomas, make it happen.
The Raging Cajun 1413 with a super chat. Thank you so much. Quarterback search is making me nervous. If we let Levitt go and can't get Williams, makes me wonder if LSU got some insurances from Williams' agent yesterday. I'm my odds of Damon Williams being the next quarterback are pretty darn high.
Okay.
I don't think you should be nervous.
I agree with you. I thought Chambliss would get the waiver and be at LSU. That doesn't look like that's going to happen. And look, bottom line is that if you get Damon Williams, then the sky's the limit for next year. Now, you got to get the big uglies. We know that. But the defense, Benefield is safety from Boise State, got a big ugly that led Clemson in tackles against LSU last night. In the opening game. And so he's coming in here, and they will continue to supplement Mike 10. No, actually with the long snapper 11. I would think that those numbers would be 15 or more by the weekend, huh?
Yeah. Raging, thank you so much for that super chat. Rick Cloetti, Ole Miss depleting their NIL coffers by keeping players they don't want LSU to get. What are your thoughts on their athletic director and the way he's operating on Twitter?
I don't keep up with like you.
LSU's athletic directors don't even have Twitter accounts.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that I'm going to go back to Trez Alberts.
I think he's as butthurt as anybody.
Yeah. Well, look, Nick Saban made a lot of people around here butthurt for a long time the way it went down. This is something that probably is going to happen again, but I hope not in my lifetime. But there's going to be, and you just have to nut up and just realize that as an LSU fan, you're going to be under the firing squad and a lot of scrutiny. Just chill out. We'll see. Now, if they open up, 4 of the first 5 games at home, they lose to Clemson in an opening game. They lose to A&M in that early window because the last 4 games are really brutal. Alabama, Texas at home, Tennessee and Arkansas on the road at the end. But just chill out and relax. Let the man do his job. He got paid $13 million. He's going to make you proud, but it is hard. A lot of people take your blood pressure pills in the morning, take your patience pills in the afternoon.
Tiger Mark 880. How well do you think the kids that were on our O-line that transferred out will do in different programs under a new coaching
That's
staff?
a hell of a question, Mike.
I hope they all do well. Unless it's they're playing LSU on a particular weekend. But I want all those kids to be successful. Who would have the highest odds of being successful if they get their act together and get bigger and stronger and all that? Land in the right spot with a good coach. You would have to say Tyree Adams and Carius Kern.
Absolutely, those are the 2 I would say.
Yeah. But I don't wish ill on them. I want them to all do well.
Well, that's what we were talking about. If you get more from Texas A&M than you do LSU, but once again, folks, BK and Austin Thomas had a price for him. Now with Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock, it's a total different negotiation. So this first year in this scenario is always going to be messy, always going to be sticky. Nothing is simple in today's world of college football. Nothing.
Kevin Fromenthal, Mike, I'm with you. No SEC team to win Natty. Go Hoosiers. Yeah, I love that story. I was asking somebody the other day, like, when was the last time Indiana was really a strong team, even in men's basketball, right?
Well, we all grew up with Bobby Knight throwing the chair and all that, but they've gone down a bunch.
And then what do they do in other sports?
Yeah,
they've been.
But guess what changed? The portal and Mark Cuban making a concerted effort for them not to lose anybody. He got most of his guys. And by the way, at the line of scrimmage, the things LSU didn't have, you can watch these four teams. Ole Miss is better at the line of scrimmage. Miami's killer at the line of scrimmage. Indiana killer at the line of scrimmage. Oregon very good at the line of scrimmage. That's the reason people are a little nervous. You got to build it there. I think the defense is going to be pretty darn good. And then, of course,
do you think with all this going on, Texas Tech spending a lot of money, there's some other schools out there with big, rich alumni bases. I don't know if there's a school like Rutgers is going to, they've got a lot of rich alumni. I don't know if they would ever get their act together. Certainly, their new ADs from LSU as their university president. But do you think over time that fans will learn to enjoy the parity, that it's not always the same schools, or do you just want to be locked in and you always want to be the blue bloods?
Glad you brought it up. That's why the SEC had so many years where they won the Natty. Not only would you get 5 stars, but you'd get backup 4 and 5 stars at Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida, all in their heyday.
Barbers.
Well, now, bottom line is that everybody's getting a piece of the pie. There is more parity.
You had New Orleans offensive linemen going to Georgia and getting about $7,000 a month, and that was before NIL.
Cedric Van Pran.
Well, I didn't say his name. You did.
So, just
allegedly.
Yeah.
I do, Chucky. He asked, Mike, you think it all falls in place once Lane gets his quarterback? Today is my first day of retirement. Go Tigers. Congratulations. Joseph Henry, slow and steady this transfer cycle. Keep them coming. Got to trust Coach Kiffin and not the fake media. I'm with you. Yeah, that's even better, says Jeff Garman. Notre Dame is the second best team in Indiana. I didn't even think about that.
Notre Dame
like that too.
They did keep their coach. Of course, Marcus Freeman had some overtures for the NFL and specifically the Giants. But interesting to see what Notre Dame is going to do moving forward. They've got the same old cupcake schedule again next year, but they do have a couple stipulations in there that is going to keep them from getting let's be honest, Notre Dame and Texas probably should have been in there. A lot of people say Alabama shouldn't have been in there. Did you enjoy that? You had the Alabama hate. That was just
I did.
That was a serious.
Feinbaum nailed it the day after when he said that looked like Alabama versus the other team, like they switched jerseys.
But he also told everybody that Alabama picked up Shorman as a corporate sponsor, and they have
4 losses for Alabama.
They've been soft.
Yeah.
No, they've been soft. And look, we welcome the new strength coach in here, Coach Savage. We hear you are a stickler for all the details, but LSU has been on a downward plane, physically, strength-wise, development-wise. You need to get those guys in there. When you say jump and snap, they're doing it. I can't wait to see what Coach Savage and LSU is going to look like in the next 6 months to a year.
All right, there it is. Genesis of Lafayette. You see it on the screen. LSU fans, it's the premier luxury dealership for Genesis vehicles, offering the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. So for a truly first-class automotive experience, it's Genesis of Lafayette, 6600 Johnson Street, and huge LSU fans there. They sell more Genesis vehicles than any other Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and the reason why is great service, great prices. They bend over backward for your business. I'm telling you, when we were shopping for them, the local Genesis dealer didn't care if we came or went, only wanted to sell you what was on the lot, didn't care to go look for one on the computer like you wanted. Genesis of Lafayette went all the way to Key West, Florida to get the wife's vehicle. And we had it in a week and a half while we were waiting for 6 to 8 months at these local schmoes here in town. So there you go. 877-856-2961. The great folks at Genesis of Lafayette. And Baye's Oyster Bar, everybody. It's your new oyster spot here in town. And just absolutely fantastic oysters. I started reading some of these off the other day and was making people absolutely starving. Barbecue Nola style, brie and bacon grilled oysters with bacon and creamy brie cheese sauce. The classic char grilled, corn mock stew, my favorite one. Baked oysters with a mixture of corn, bell peppers, and fresh herbs and bechamel sauce. Oysters Bienville, oysters Rockefeller, the best boiled shrimp, a great turkey brie and bacon sandwich, roast beef po' boy, fully stocked bar with top-notch bourbon and more. Get over to Baye's Oyster Bar, 315 North Boulevard, downtown Baton Rouge. All right. Tiger Mark, the LSU fans, including myself, should relax. Lane knows exactly who he wants and who will perform in his system. If he did it at Ole Miss, it's how fast he will do it at LSU. I don't believe they're panicking at LSU. I really don't. And like I brought up earlier, do you think that the timing of the information getting out about Damon Williams at the 2/3 mark of Levitt's visit was by accident?
Look, I've heard two different stories. One that they thought he was getting ready to sign, and then he said, "Look, we're going to visit Tennessee," and that kind of made a difference. And then all this stuff with Damon Williams. I
have a hunch that there's some concerns about that injury.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And you've got to have somebody.
I want somebody healthy. And when you go look at Damon Williams' film,
he's perfect.
Particularly when you saw what you saw this past season from LSU's offense with Nussmeier and lack of mobility, and you remember what Jaden Daniels did, and when you go see Damon Williams and you combine that with what Lane Kiffin's offenses look like, it's a no-brainer.
He was committed. Damon Williams was committed to Lane Kiffin in 2022. When he was at Ole Miss, he went a different route.
And he's healthy.
And look, it might be the $6 million man. That's the number that's being brandied about. Washington gave him $4 million. The Washington people said LSU offered him $2 million more. And he said he had to do what's best for him and his family. We'll wait to see. But I have no qualms or questions that Billy Glasscock and Lane Kiffin aren't going to have 2 or 3 quarterbacks that can play next year. Hell, he had Austin Simmons and a kid from Oklahoma State, and then he brought Walker Howard in, all when he had Jackson Dart. He's always got different because Lane runs his quarterback, and so there could be injuries there, as we know. So you got to have 2 or 3. He'll get it done.
Joseph Mann with a super chat. Thank you so much. Reports about rude awakenings, in quotes, when deals are submitted to NIL Clearinghouse. What's that mean if deals don't close? LSU handling business on that front. Did you see Ross Dellinger's tweet?
I think he got that from Delly, and Delly is, by the way, has been acting butthurt with this Ole Miss slobbering all over his drinking buddy Pete, who of course Kiffin and Dell, we saw when the press conference, they were following. He was following every little step, and I think that there's some ego between those two. But that's what's great. The whole country's.
Well, I don't care whether Dellinger did it to Pete Thamel. That was a report. It was.
Yeah, but they've said basically that
the MMR deal.
Yeah, but they said basically that if it doesn't get approved, or something that they could rule them ineligible. Give me an effing
I'll tell you what else. I'll tell you what I picked up.
NCAA. Give me a break.
Is that some of the biggest problems they had with current LSU players, the holdovers, was the stuff that was promised to them that wasn't delivered by a certain coach who's no longer here, and he's now at Ole Miss. Imagine that.
Oh, goodness. Are you trying to be frank with us tonight?
Who?
Oh, by the way, LSU served up alligator sauce pecan today at the facility. 3 players from Florida. The wide receiver that everybody thought was going to go down, a punter and a snapper. Go to the site. You got all the details, but interesting. Look, they brought in the guy from Grambling last year for special teams. They finally got a block punt, finally had a kickoff return in the bowl game. But I just think from a fundamental standpoint, LSU should be appreciably better with special teams. And Mike, I still think they're at 11 right now. I still think they got another 20 to go.
Brad David, I love the parody. When it was Bam and Clemson every year, it was so predictable. I'm kind of with you. I just with a 14-team playoff, though, you want LSU to be there. You know, you don't want to be in Houston or Nashville for a bowl game. Chad Selfo, do we have a chance for Lance Hurd? LSU is not interested in Lance Hurd. Not interested at all. I know that for a fact.
I think his asking price is a little inflated.
It has nothing to do with his money. It's he's a pain in the ass. Doesn't take care of business and a lot of other stuff.
Yep. There's some tests that he's failed. On and off the field.
All right. I got one more I need to do, and then we'll take your questions and comments all the way to the end after this one. There it is, Capital City Grill. Go there for brunch on Sunday from 11 to 2. The chicken and waffles are to die for. It's, of course, 100 Lafayette Street. They got great lunch items, club sandwiches, the French dip sandwich, po' boys, hamburgers, French fries that are never frozen, freshly cut in-house. Best carrot cake in Baton Rouge. Always get you a piece to go. And but the Sunday brunch is what they're really wanting to get you in there for to try from 11 to 2. Go to capitalcitygrill.net. You can see the menu there. They've got the eggs Benedict. They've got a little thing in a skillet with potatoes and eggs. It's the perfect thing after a hard night of partying and drinking. Great for a hangover cure. They've got the mimosas and the Bloody Marys. They got everything you want for a Sunday brunch. Get over there and give them a try. And please tell them that TigerBait sent you in. Let's see. Tiger Mark. Damon Williams Jr. is almost the same build as Shambles, 5'11", 190, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Lane knows exactly what he's doing. I want the guy who's healthy.
Well, look, he was committed
and
to Lane.
And it's a bird in hand, too.
They're familiar with each other. Obviously, he's coming to the SEC. Oh, by the way, another Ferris State quarterback coming in here tomorrow. Elon quarterback coming in here on Friday. Mike, you got to figure that they're going to have to sell a couple of these guys to come in here and compete for the job.
Tell us in the chat, 2 or 3 quarterbacks. You think 2 or 3?
You mean on the roster or in the portal?
Do they get 3 scholarship quarterbacks?
I hope so. I do, because you got to have some insurance. I mean, Kiffin runs his quarterback in the SEC, 9 conference games, 5 on the road. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's not just get one good one and then have some stragglers 2 and 3.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you're playing Alabama, Texas, the last two home games of the year, and then you're going on the road to Tennessee and Arkansas and the cooler temps, both those places. You better not be running on empty. You better have some guys that are healthy and some depth. Michael Van Buren last year was picked up in the portal, and he played a little bit more than we all thought, because we thought Nuss would play most of the year. But you got to get a guy a little bit better than him.
All right. Anything you want to add before we get out of here? Everybody, look, got a lot of people say it's a mixed bag. A lot of people saying 3, a lot of people saying 2. Ferris quarterback signed with Michigan State, says Hughes Bowden.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, couldn't be here without our great sponsors, Demco, Dixie Electric Member Co-op. Once again, always giving you levelized billing, great integrity, great service. And we appreciate those folks over at Demco and all of our great sponsors. Once again, Happy New Year. A little bit of a rough start for everybody with this controversy. And I think you and I both hope that Miami takes care of business just to shut up the Ole Miss people. Trev Albert said it many years ago. I'm going to piss them off here at the end. Not that they'll be watching. But once a runt, always a runt. They've got a good football team. But Miami, if they put that pressure on Ole Miss, Chambliss, he made some incredible plays in the Superdome, zigzagging around and escaping. And then, of course, Miami's running back. If they stop that running back, it's going to fall down to Carson Beck. But I do like Miami by field goal. And, of course, once again, also Friday night, Oregon and Indiana. So appreciate everybody with us. Don't forget baseball on the horizon. The first pitch banquet is a week from tomorrow night. Get your details on that. And Kim Mulkey and the Lady Tigers tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 at Georgia, and then 2 o'clock on Sunday hosting the Lady Horns from Texas.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. Parker says hello. And we'll be back here next week. And we're planning on doing – look, I wanted to start Inside LSU Women's Basketball this week. But with all the portal stuff, it's just been hard to do. We're going to pick it up next week, I promise, and have that running through the rest of the year. And but please go over to TigerBait, subscribe. Our live transfer portal thread has been nonstop. We're dropping tidbits in that every hour as we get it, and we've been sending out newsletters every day as well. You need to go to TigerBait, subscribe, try us out for $1. I think you'll enjoy the product, and appreciate y'all. Good night, everybody.
See you next week, everybody.